What's up, college football fans? Sonoy Valente here once again with the Mean Green Show. Today, joined by Tony Cardasco from the Hey Red podcast, and we're going to, get into this North Texas UNLV game a little bit. And Tony's, give us his thoughts on, what he thinks may happen, and about this, that, and the other. But anyway, Tony's. Before we get into all of that, how are you doing? And really, what is it that you do for UNLV football as far as covering them?
Yeah, thanks so much. A pleasure to be with you today, Sonoy. Yeah, I pretty much do everything. I've called play-by-play in the past. I do some games now in basketball, play-by-play, live streams, things of that nature. And then I also cover them. I have my own radio show on Saturday mornings on the local Odyssey station here in Las Vegas, and that is 98.5 FM, HD2 The Fan. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've been covering Rebel football for an eternity through the good times and the bad, mostly bad. Last time they played North Texas really was 2014 in the Heart of Dallas Bowl, and that's the last bowl game that the Rebels went to. It's been that long of a drought, so they're hoping to turn things around here under Marcus Arroyo, currently in his third season.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a bit of a homecoming for our president of the university, Neil Samachstrik. Samach, I don't know how to say his name exactly, but I think he was the president at UNLV that year that they played North Texas in that Heart of Dallas Bowl, and then came over the year after. So yeah, I kind of overlooked that, but yeah, so there's some history, I guess, between the two teams. So anyway, so I think the line right now has UNLV as a 3-point favorite, or maybe 2.5 points. It's kind of been moving back and forth there. And, I don't know. I feel like this, I think going into it, and us as North Texas fans, we kind of saw it not as a give me win, but definitely okay, like this is one we should win and all that. And, there might, and then now that there's the spread is kind of how it is. There's a little bit of, like this game just kind of got a lot more interesting, a lot more big, a lot more important from a North Texas perspective, just because it would put UNT at 3-1, and the loss would be 2-2 with North Texas having to play Memphis next week, which obviously is a really tough team. So a lot on the table on the North Texas side, to hopefully get this win from a North Texas fans perspective. But really, Tony, if you can just kind of dive into the game real quick and just give a quick, just your general thoughts of some matchups and stuff, and then we'll go into a little more details after that.
Yeah, I think it's just as an important game for UNLV because this is a team that has won. And they really, last season, they had the 6 games decided by a touchdown or less, and they just could not close them out. And then we saw much of the same in the Cal game a week ago, where the Rebels lost that game 20-14. You'd think that they would be kicking themselves for just letting Cal off the hook. Had a late drive. There should have been a pass interference call in the end zone. They should have won the game. The Rebels should have won that contest. Their drive should have continued inside the 10, but no call on the road. That's the way it goes. The Rebels, I think, are getting better in the trenches. They're good on the offensive and defensive line, you will see. They're playing more physical this year. They have a lot more depth. They haven't been afforded this depth in quite a long time, and that's why they've had just a continuous string of losing seasons. From the spring until now, what happened was UNLV brought in 32 new players from the portal. So coming into fall camp, a lot of new faces and a lot of players that are really impact players and helping them out. And they are 2 or 3 deep at nearly every position now for UNLV. This is just as an important of a game because if UNLV, and they circled it as well, the Rebels circled this game as potentially being a W because they feel like if they're going to a bowl game this year, they have to win this game come Saturday afternoon. But Doug Brumfield is the quarterback for UNLV. Brumfield had great numbers against Idaho State. He struggled a bunch in the second game at Cal. They had good quarterback competition. Brumfield himself was a quarterback who in spring camp went into the portal and then came back. And so now he's the starting quarterback. They have they've got good depth behind him. Harrison Bailey is the Tennessee transfer. You've got Cameron Friel, who was the conference freshman of the year a season ago. And then skill position guys, there's a lot of really good talent there. The players to look for if you're watching this game, Ricky White, the Michigan State transfer, he's a very explosive player. Kyle Williams had 10 targets in the Cal game, but he only had 3 receptions. And they look to try to get him back on track in this game. But they're very good at the skill positions. And we're also waiting to see if Aiden Robbins, the tailback for UNLV and the University of Louisville transfer, if he will get the rock a lot more consistently. He burst for a 31-yard touchdown last week at Cal. He had 3 touchdowns in the opener, but I feel like they're not giving him the football enough. And here's a guy, he's 6'3", and he goes about 230, and he looks a big guy, but the first tackler cannot bring him down. And then he just has great speed in the open field. And then the Rebel defense playing much better than they have in the past, particularly against the run. They held Cal to under 100 yards rushing in the game. Most of their rushing yards came in the first half last week. And I think if they could continually play well against the run, I think they're going to be successful. We know what North Texas does. They're going to run between the tackles. And let's see, it'll be the strength of North Texas against, let's see if UNLV is up for this challenge and if they can stop the run. And as we know, that run game for North Texas, Austin Awney, I know what he can do. Once Awney has the football, play action pass downfield, I'm seeing a wide open game, to be quite honest with you. I think this could be a high scoring affair.
Yeah. Do you know what the over under is on this?
It was around, they didn't post it yet, but I'm guessing it's got to be in the mid 50s minimum. And I'm thinking the final could be about 60. That's what I said on our Hey Red pod. I
Yeah.
think it could land in about 60. I think both teams can score. Very much concerned about the passing game off of the run game for North Texas. UNLV at home, I think they're just a better team. Doug Brumfield really struggled a lot in the game last week. I don't think he'll have back-to-back bad games. And then I think, again, Aiden Robbins, if they could get the rush game going for UNLV, it could be a real fun game to watch. I think it's going to be a fun game for the fans, to be sure.
Yeah, and Brumfield, your guys' quarter or UNLV's quarterback. I mean, he's pretty big himself. Isn't he about 6'5", or isn't he
Yeah,
kind of a bigger
it
guy?
feels it. Yeah, it's so funny, because it appears as though every time I interview him, it seems as though he's getting taller because I have to stretch my arm out. I'm like, did you go through another growth spurt? At the end of the season, he's going to be about 6'6", I swear. And it's funny because the kid's just growing like a weed since he
Yeah.
got here, from when I first met him a year ago to now. So yeah, he's pretty good. I mean, he could run and pass. They tried to keep him in the pocket a little bit more, and now they also gave him the opportunity in his second season to call audibles and to check off at the line of scrimmage. So he might check into pass play, especially if he sees on the edge that one-on-one coverage.
All right, and you kind of touched on it already, but just if you could elaborate a bit more. So, tell me what has to happen for UNLV to win this football game this Saturday?
I think they have to mix up pass and run. I think that they're going to have to get some explosive plays like they had in the first game. And they have a slogan called bombs over backs, where they like to throw the ball and air it out and get behind those DBs. And if that could happen, then I think you'll see an electrifying game. And that's the type of offense that we feel UNLV has this season. And then defensively stopping the run. And then in pass coverage, one of the players to look out for, he's really so much fun. Jere Williams, he will be the nickel corner. He plays all over the field. He had 7 tackles in the game against Cal. He had 1 tackle for loss, and he also had an interception, but he's the leader of that Rebel defense. And then, front 7 just has to play consistently for UNLV. They really do need to stop the run. I think that's got to be a major concern. And that's something on film that really showed up with all the downhill runners that North Texas has. I think it could definitely pose a problem. And if they get that run game going, we know what could happen. North Texas could open up its passing game. But I just think, Rebel offense against North Texas's D, I think that could pretty much be, a wide open affair. And then we have to see how the North Texas offense does against the Rebel D. And is this Rebel defense against the run for real? That's the biggest question, I think, going into this game on Saturday.
Okay, and for North Texas to win, what would you say has to happen in order for that, like, for that to be a thing?
Yeah, and then the Rebels also had a lot of penalties, so they have to stay away from penalties. And again, setting them back, UNLV was 1 for 12 on third down conversions. If North Texas can get the Rebels into third down and long situations, I think that's going to be a key factor. And I know that North Texas plays 4 down football, and I know what they like to do, and they like to try to get third downs, short yardage, and they'll go for it on fourth down almost anywhere on the field, I feel. And so I think it's going to be one of those yardage, sort of games where field position is going to matter in this game. Special teams, could matter if it's a 3-point spread. I see on paper and just watching film, from the last 3 games, the first 3 games, I should say, of North Texas, I can see, that they can play wide open football too. So I think it's going to be an exciting game, and the Rebels are going to have to try to force a turnover or two, and they have to play penalty free against North Texas and stop the run. Again, I can't say that enough, but North Texas's run game, we feel, is very efficient.
All right, one last thing before we end this. Can we get a point prediction from you for this game? Oh, Tony, I think we cut out. I'm not catching you on the audio. I'm not sure what happened. I had everything up till now. I don't know. You know what? I'll just fill in. I'm gonna guess that Tony said. Oh shoot! I'm gonna guess Tony said third. He's trying to hand signal it to me. I didn't really catch that. 37. Oh, 38. To 32 UNLV. All right, 38-32 with UNLV getting the win. Yeah, if you're watching this, then be sure to check it out. We just did some hand puppet signals to get that one. But anyway, Tony, thank you so much for coming on, and I'll see you later. And we'll see what happens this Saturday.